Hey, everybody. Welcome to podcast number 88. Here's our regular crew for the most part. Carrie, as you can see, is not here. So when this all gets messed up, you can blame me because that's on me today.
You got the instructions, but we'll see how this goes. Dexter's in charge. Everybody blame Dexter if this goes wrong.
I didn't get instructions. I got those like 6 months ago, the one time we did this.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this goes. But I'm Dexter. We have Tim. We have Mr. Daryl Bradley. And back with us today, our original 5-Pin Universe podcaster, Mr. Adam Weber. Welcome back, buddy. It's good to see you.
Hey, guys. Really nice to see you guys again.
Yeah. We almost need we need a drawing for him at the front opening, hey? Like just to substitute him in somehow.
It's such a weird, different opening, different music. Like I haven't seen the start of one of these things for a while. I've just been chiming in late.
we have agendas.
I know. You guys have changed. Nobody drinks anymore.
I sent him the agenda and he's like, "You actually work?" I was like, "Yeah, we actually work now." Yeah.
Why, Adam? Do you have a beer handy?
Of course I do. I've got two just in case. If anybody needs one.
Nice. And a bucket underneath your desk too.
Just a funnel. I love it.
Yeah. My trick.
Nice.
Well, we're glad to have you back. I'd much rather chat with you than Tim any day, so we appreciate this.
Well, this way, at least I can actually chime in when he's throwing my name under a bus.
Yeah, that's right.
Every week, yeah.
Every week.
You're getting a dig for sure. At least that's you for sure. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'd like to give a quick thank you to all our Patreon members. Here we are there. If you'd like to sign up at patreon.com/5pinuniverse. And as a reminder, if you are a Patreon member, you do get discount codes on our store. So if you are looking at purchasing merch, store.5pinuniverse.ca. As you can see, we have our male model, Jeff Watts, wearing some stuff, rocking our shirts this week. So, I mean, he's the sexiest man I know. So
we've had a good response to the merch. Appreciate the orders coming through. Obviously, any more orders, keep on coming. The hats are going pretty good. The sweatpants are obviously super comfy. Looks like Tim and Dex are both wearing the t-shirts today. So thanks for repping there, boys. I know Dex is wearing the hat. I didn't fly the ship today, but yeah, keep the orders coming, peeps, for sure.
Love it. I'd like to thank All Star Bowling Sales, our sponsor for our podcast, sponsoring guests once again this week. So we will run our All Star Bowling Sales commercial here, and then we'll bring in our special guests. So. All right, so our special guests for this week, all the way from Ontario and Florida at the moment. Mike and Cheryl Bates. Welcome aboard, guys.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
They changed seats.
I know. I was going to say.
They're playing games on us. Yeah. Did we change where we are now, or are we all the same for you too?
Yeah. No, you're all this. Yeah, no, you and Adam have changed.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it says, but when we brought you on before, Mike says to us, "I don't know any of you guys. Can you introduce yourselves?" Either that says that we haven't done very much, Mike, or that you might be a couple years older than us.
Oh, definitely older.
Okay.
Definitely older. So.
How's it going down there? You guys are down in Florida now.
Yeah, we are. We come down in November. Usually I come down November, December, then fly back home for Christmas, and then we both come down January through April. But with the pandemic, going back and forth probably wasn't an option, and definitely staying home for all of winter wasn't an option to us. So we decided to fly down late November. We flew down because we couldn't drive down. So we flew down and then shipped the car down. Car got to us about a week after we got here, and so we'll be down. We'll be here until first part of May is the plan. Love it down here. It's kind of what we did growing up with my parents. They had a place down here, and we visited them all the time. And it was something when I retired I wanted to do. So fully retired last year. Last year, 2020. And so now we're down here. So
That's awesome.
we miss the kids a lot, though. That's one thing that we have found is the kids and the grandkids. Definitely miss them.
Well, once the world turns back to normal, at least they'll have a place to go and visit. And I mean, Disneyland is close, so I mean, it's going to be great for the grandkids.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
like I said, last year in March, my son and their family were down, and that's just when
The week before.
the week before Canada, the Prime Minister was telling everyone to get home. So we actually had to cut their trip short last year. And now they're not here this year, and neither is my daughter and their family. So, yeah, it's not quite as we had hoped or expected, but we're getting the use out of it.
How is life down there?
It's different than home for COVID, for sure. There's not as much safety protocols, I guess, if you want to call it that. People are wearing masks. I'd say probably 90% of the people are wearing masks. But when you go in the stores, you don't see them cleaning as much as you do. Like the pin pads for when you pay, you never see them cleaning them. Things like that. So we're very careful. We're always sanitizing our hands and doing things. So hopefully, and we've both been safe so far. So.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it'll remain that way.
Awesome.
I've also heard like the no arrows on the floor or directional sort of things. People are just sort of going wherever you want to go.
There is. People don't pay attention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like I say, it's very again, and the more you talk to your neighbors and the more you talk to Florida is a very Republican state and a Republican state. So a lot of people don't believe in the coronavirus, to be honest. It's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Yeah. What a crazy time to move down there. I mean, you moved in like one of the most historic time periods for the States ever, really.
Yeah.
I can only imagine that living in Florida right now with, COVID and then, the American election, that it's been a unique time period for being down there for sure.
It certainly has, and like you say, it's definitely been an eye opener from that. Like the politics is just huge.
Yeah.
But we try to stay out of those conversations.
The universe doesn't need to go into politics either.
Yeah, exactly. Like we might instigate it, and then we just sit back and listen.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to light a match. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, are you golfers down there, or just walk along the beach, or just really enjoying the warm weather? Okay.
I'm the golfer. Yeah, she won't golf because she likes it when I'm gone golfing.
Oh, perfect. Well, that really works out well.
Yeah. So I go twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays. There's a couple leagues in the park. So I go Mondays and Thursdays golfing. So that breaks up the week. But we used to do so many other things. We used to, there used to be shuffleboard, dances going on, breakfast meetings and things like that. They don't have any of that right now, right? So, yeah, it's really, and then the pool, you try to stay separated at the pool. So it is different, but like I say, I'm glad we're here rather than back home in the snow.
We're definitely going to get lots of love from people out there. We were getting texts here, prior to the show of looking forward to having you on. Obviously, Allison Roberts has recommended that to get you guys on, and Martin Talbot had reached out as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing all the comments and people being interactive here in the show. So they haven't seen you for a little bit too. So happy to see you on watching the show. So
yeah, very good. Thank you.
It's funny watching Tom Patterson chime in here and chat. When having never had the fortune of meeting you guys, when Tim showed me pictures, I was like, that could be Tom Patterson's brother.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yep, it could be. Maybe I should tint this a little red and.
Oh, he's got no red left, none left.
Oh, he's got no red left neither.
No.
Oh,
no, you're good. Yeah, you're more than good.
Yeah. So you guys are all from Edmonton, is that right?
Yes.
And you're in Edmonton. Okay. So we have a family tie to Edmonton.
Okay.
And it's tied to the Edmonton Eskimos.
Okay.
The CFL.
Of course, they know it's a CFL.
Wait, you can't say the Eskimos anymore. It's the Edmonton football team.
She's thinking she's talking to the American next door, right? So number 28 on the defense. Sorry?
Yeah.
Tim Hoover.
No, Jordan.
Jordan Hoover. Tim's Jordan Hoover. He's played there 2 years, and then last year, right, they didn't play, and he's playing again for them this year. But that's Cheryl's brother's son, so it's our nephew.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Cool is
He
that?
plays professional football out there, which is really cool.
He's like a safety or DB or something, isn't he?
Yeah, like a safety, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were there 2 years ago. It'll be 3 years this year.
Yep.
To see him play.
In 19, we were there.
Yeah. That's
right
crazy.
now, it's the Edmonton football team, so there's not even a name
Yeah.
anymore. They're going through the whole list of the 7 of the minutes,
which is terrible.
Yeah.
They're all
it is.
terrible.
I know.
It's gonna be the
I agree.
Elks. That's
You think
for
the
sure.
Elks, Tim?
Yeah,
Edmonton
yeah.
Elks?
I think it's gonna be the Elks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't they just flip the EE over and be like the 39ers? And then you still got like.
Good one.
I'm trying to visualize it. Yeah. Okay.
It's a CFL.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus!
Stick to one beer, Weber.
Yeah.
Haven't even started yet.
That's like a Costanza. Okay, and I'm out. Should we talk some bowling there, guys?
Yeah, let's talk some bowling.
Yeah,
Sure.
let's get to it.
Let's start early on in the days. Obviously, we want to know, where did the bowling itch come from? How did everything start from you guys? Way back and start bowling. Tell us a little about the history of where you got the bowling itch from.
Sure. So I'll start because Cheryl started a little later. Actually, I started. My mom and dad were bowling, obviously, and as I have 3 sisters, 2 older, 1 younger. I'm the only boy, so 4 of us. So we were, involved. The YBC, the bowling alley, the local bowling alley was 2.5 blocks away. So got into bowling early. My dad was a master in the 70s. Though, being a small bowling alley, though, we probably had no more than 60, 70 kids in YBC. But we had some good coaches back then. There was Irene Whitley and Pat McNeil, Pat Mahoney, that were all there at that point. So wasn't very successful in YBC. Obviously, coming from a small center, and you're bowling against Sherwood, who had 600 or 800 kids bowling and so on. It was very difficult getting out of the city kind of thing. So very little activity in YBC. I think I made it to senior singles once, to the provincials. Made the back then they called it the Pepsi. I think today they call it
Youth Challenge.
Challenge.
Yeah.
Right. Back then was a Pepsi. So made that in the seniors. Set up pins when I was young. We still at our bowling center didn't have automatic pin setters for a little while, so I was setting up pins. And
what was the name of the bowling?
Bowladrome.
It's not around anymore.
Nope, it's actually no. It closed several years ago, probably 10, 15 years ago. It's an archery place now.
Oh,
So,
Also burnt down.
well, they had a fire, and then now it's an archery place. So
interesting.
so like I say, but got to do a lot of bowling when I was young. Obviously with pin setting, if it was quiet, one of the pin setters would go down and we'd bowl a game or two and take turns, and I'd go down and so on. So there was a lot of, I bowled a lot as a youth. Once YBC was over, got into Yaba a little bit, not in any big way by any means, but got into Yaba. Actually, Cheryl and I bowled a little bit together in Yaba after we met.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what Yaba was? Now it's a young adults. What was the format?
Bowlers.
What was Yaba?
So it was a Young Adult Bowlers Association, and I think at that time, way back in the early '80s, I think they had a limit of 25 years. You couldn't be 25 years old or something like that. And then they expanded it to 30, and eventually, it was you could be 65 years old and bowl in Yaba.
That's
okay.
The Young at Heart Bowlers Association.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Yeah. There was a lot of drinking, trust me.
And is that what the idea was? It was just a bridge between, YBC and adults, and just really for the social side of things, right?
Exactly. That's what they wanted to do. Yeah. That's how it came. And I think it was the bowling proprietors, I believe, that brought in Yaba as opposed to the Ontario 5-pin or the Masters. I'm pretty sure it was the bowling proprietors who were responsible for Yaba, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe somebody can correct me out there if I'm wrong. But so I bowled in that a little bit. So my sister, again, as we were young, my sister was quite the bowler as well. My oldest sister, Sharon Warren. She won a number of provincial titles. She went to the nationals 4 or 5 times as well. And when she was playing, I was still a little younger and not as good. And so I watched her on the ladies' teams. That's where, and watched, again, Irene Whitley and Betty Jones and Helen McCallum and, Sue Davies and Pat McNeil and Pat Mahoney. I mean, they were just unbelievable bowlers. So watched them a ton, and eventually said that this is something I want to get in and play in the Open and do that kind of stuff. So was lucky enough to do so. But so that's kind of where the history of the family. All of us bowled, like I say, all of us bowled. Even as we became adults after YBC, my dad and my mom ran a league on Sunday nights at Bowladrome, and all 6 of us and our spouses or girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever played in it all on Sunday nights. So
that's awesome.
Something that we've all done. And even some of our kids are bowling now.
I really like that. A lot of people have like Sunday dinners with the family. You guys have Sunday bowling with the family. That's great though. That's super cool. I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And then how about you, Cheryl? When you got started, did you play the YBC? Or I know Mike had said something about meeting in Yaba, but where did you start your bowling days?
I didn't start till I was 12 years old. I started at Royal York in Toronto.
Is that bowling alley still there?
I believe not.
Okay.
I have no idea. I don't think so. A lot of them are closed anyways.
Yeah.
I wasn't really in. I did bowling, but I wasn't into bowling. Like, I did make the 4-step singles in my senior year. That's when I met Connie Ward. And I also went as a spare to the Pepsi. And then YBC one year, the exhibition used to have a bowling lane set up, and our bowling center went to bowl there. And when we got there, we had to wear skirts, and us girls did not have skirts, so we had to go through it was part of a show. I'm not too sure what show it was, like the sportsman show or whatever. Well, we had to go downstairs and buy Indian wraparound skirts to bowl in. And we were not allowed to bowl.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So dress code infractions have been going on for a few years, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
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 For sure.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So as I say, I was not really into bowling until I won the bursary. And then after that, it just expanded huge.
Right.
Yeah, totally
Nice.
fair.
I won the bursary in 1981, right out of YBC.
Well, she beat my best friend's friend in the finals that day, by the way.
What was the bursary? Was it just a single tournament for a scholarship, or what was? Yeah.
Master Bowlers, as a, I don't even
Sure.
know if they still have it or not, to be honest with you. But, for through the 80s and 90s, and, they had a bursary tournament. And so what they did was any graduating YBC player, so they had the men's side and the ladies' side, boys and girls, and played against each other. And the winner would get a free year in the Masters.
It was a step ladder.
Yeah, you would qualify, and then there was a step ladder, right? But you'd get a free year in the Masters.
Yeah.
Um,
On the tournament.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was about. Either did my parents. My parents had no idea what bowling was. And I won it. And then you had to bowl the whole year free. So that's what got me into my bowling career now. But
Yeah. But
John Conti from Hamilton won with me. So, and then in August, they have a doubles tournament. You had to bowl with the bursary winner.
Okay.
So John and I both had to bowl in that tournament together.
Neat.
and John came from Bowlerdrome as well. He was 4 or 5 years younger than me, but he was out of Bowlerdrome as well. So
I think
how
that's-
did you fare that first year in the Masters?
Pardon me?
How did you fare that first year in the Masters?
Oh, probably terrible. I'm probably scared shit because, as they say, I didn't grow up as a bowler. Like it, I don't think I did very well.
But what
the
a
thing-
great. Sorry, Dexter, go ahead.
The thing I like about this is like you are living proof that something like that works. I mean, here you are, you win this event, and then it was the catalyst to becoming you a bowler for life. Like that's what everybody's kind of hoping for when they put on those events, and that's awesome. It's exciting that something like that worked as well as it did.
Yeah.
and there's no question that's why the Masters did that, was to encourage, encourage participation and encourage membership, right?
Totally.
So,
Yeah.
so obviously, Cheryl bowls and John Conti. I mean, John's still bowling the Masters. Here we are, 35 years later, and he's still
He
bowling.
still bowls.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
you had mentioned briefly about where you two met. Can you tell us a story about where this love song began, or is it
Yeah.
rainbows and
I'll
unicorns?
start off, and then she's got the memory. So, as I
We
mentioned,
see that because she keeps correcting you, Mike,
no,
on
yeah.
some of the things that you're saying. So we know that Cheryl's the smart one here.
so as you say, in the bursary in '81, so John Conte won and Cheryl won.
Right.
So they bowl together in September, I think, is when that mixed doubles is September.
August.
So
It was in August.
August. Well, and then we started. So the Masters started in October. So we're in Guelph, Kitchener, Guelph area. And, John's there, and it's John's first year. So we're talking with John, and I'm asking him how things are going. And I see him talking to this girl. So after a couple of games, I went to John and I said, "Who's that?" Right? And John says, "Oh, that's Cheryl Hoover. She won the bursary with me," and yada, yada, yada. And so that's how I first laid eyes on her, right? Was at that thing. So then after we finished bowling that day at the hotel, I said to John, "Why don't you invite Cheryl and come down for a drink in the bar and whatnot, and we can talk." And so that's kind of how it all started, believe it or not.
And then how does Cheryl remember the story?
Yeah, exactly.
A group of us went down to the bar. Michael asked me to dance. It was a slow song. And then he said,
"This is my big move. This is my move on women, guys."
Yeah, I can see that. I can see the hands getting lower here on this dance. Yeah.
So we were dancing slow, and he said, let's do a trick. Let's see what happens. And I said, "Okay." So he says, "Look up at the ceiling. Just stare at the ceiling like you're looking at something." So we were staring at the ceiling, and he said, "You watch, everybody else will do the same thing." By the end of the song, everybody was staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out how we were looking at it. It was like,
Brilliant.
That's awesome. I love it too.
That was my big move, guys.
Yeah.
It clearly works. I'm writing down notes as we're going along.
Yeah, that's totally right.
we did not. Well, we saw each other bowling. We did not get together that year.
Yeah.
So we changed our bowling. She was in Toronto, right? I was I was in Hamilton. So obviously, the distance and whatnot. So we only saw each other at bowling at Masters. And that's where the Yabba came in. Was a couple of her friends, and then Dan Perry and John Conti knew some of the people, right, from the bursary tournament and whatnot. So that we're now in Yabba. So we started to go together to Yabba tournaments. I remember one time, I don't know, we were in Brampton or someplace. And again, part of Yabba was partying, right? And so on. We had 10 of us stay in a hotel room for a weekend.
Sounds like the old KG tournaments.
Autumn Open, yeah. Been
Yeah.
there. Those are good times.
Well,
You take the mattresses off the bed, and some people would be on the box springs and some on the mattresses. And so that's where we were for probably a year, 15 months or something like that. So, and then we started to get a little bit more serious. I started to go and visit to her and stay at her place, stay with, her place at in Toronto. She was up in the Jane and Finch area in Toronto. Great place to live. Not, by the way, not. So I'd go and visit her a little bit more and more and more, and eventually we're actually at a tournament at Jack Fine's house, Jane Park. He used to run the Crispy Crunch match play tournament, I think, there in the summer, in June or July or something like that. So we were there. I was bowling in that. She had come down to watch, and proposed to her on the way home after that.
Awesome.
In the car.
Wow.
Did you pull over first, or were you still driving?
Nope.
Just the
I
way
said,
you
reach
dreamed
under the chair.
he had
Look at the ceiling.
Yeah.
and we were married September of 83.
Yeah. And we got married. And Cheryl's dad worked for the Ministry of Ontario. So they moved around a lot. They were originally from Simcoe. And these were in London. Then they were in Thunder Bay.
No, in North Bay,
North Bay.
and then London, and then
And then Toronto.
I think.
And probably why she didn't start bowling until she was in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
So her brother never bowled. Her parents never bowled. At that point,
in leagues,
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
No, my brother was into hockey.
Right.
We had to be married in September because he got drafted by the Buffalo Sabres.
that year, and he was going to the training camp in October, so
we had to get married the Labor Day weekend.
Get it done. Nice.
If I wanted him there, we had to get married early.
Yeah.
Well, let's. Great to obviously hear the story of you guys, how you met, and how this all started. I think everybody's probably ready to start hearing some bowling stories now and some of the accomplishments. You guys both have a pretty accomplished career. First thing though, Tim, you want to cue up 83 there?
Well, we're ready. We can talk about 83. Yeah. I don't have any photos on hand. The ones we had were just the Alberta ones there, Daryl, that I was showing you there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but I do have the stats I can bring up because I did find them through Bruce's information there. But we do know that when we're speaking, Mike, a little bit earlier, that the 83 Winter Games in Chicoutimi, I believe it was, right, was a big stepping point in your career, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It started in 82 because Ontario had some qualifying tournaments to represent or to go to a camp kind of thing, a bowling camp that the 05 put on, combined with the Masters to so you'd bowl in this regional tournament, and if they probably took the top male and female or the top 2 or 3, and they had several of those throughout the province, including North, because at that point it was Ontario. It wasn't Southern Ontario and Northern Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
So including the North. So there were some bowlers coming down from the North and whatnot. So they pulled us all together. I got to believe there was probably, I don't know, 16 to 20 of us, both 16 to 20 male, 16 to 20 female, right? For this long weekend in August in 82. So there was, people like Fraser that was there, and Ernie Rogie and Walter Heaney, and Ian Cameron, and so on, that were, so you'd bowl and you'd have some match plays, you'd bowl just some games, did a lot of Mark 10 and pinning and whatnot type thing. And they kind of evaluated you. And ranked you kind of thing. And at the end, so then at the end of the weekend, they selected the teams. And I was very fortunate, again, coming from Hamilton, not very well known, tons of bowlers from Toronto there and so on. I didn't think I'd have a chance, but, I bowled well there. My pinning was phenomenal, which is, again, takes me back to the Bowlerdrome days when, I'd spend a lot of time pinning. So I was fortunate enough to, there was, again, so there was myself, Paul Roeder from Kitchener. So I was the oldest on the team. Again, there was an age limit. I think you couldn't be 25 or something like that.
I think it was 25, yeah.
Yeah. So I was 24 at that point, right? So Paul Roeder was the youngest. I think he was just right out of YBC. I think, or he may have been 18 or 19. He was definitely the youngest. Rob McGregor from Toronto, Steve Greensides from Toronto, and then Rod Smith from Sudbury. He was one of the ones that came down from the north. So the 5 of us were lucky enough to make it. They appointed Royale Champagne as our coach. And then it went from there, right? He got us together probably once a month. We'd kind of, I remember one time we drove up to Sudbury. The 5 of us drove up to Sudbury, and instead of Rod always driving down, we went up to Sudbury one weekend and did that. So just to, continue to bowl and whatnot and get together and be a team. Rael was very much a, what would you call it? A school, like an educator, a philosopher, an educator type thing. So he actually asked us to read this book called The Power of Positive Thinking. So I hadn't read a book since college, obviously. Right? I'm going, and I remember thinking to myself, I want to bowl. Like the last thing I want to do is read a book, right? But I tell you, reading that book was a life changer. Honest to God, it was a life changer in my thought towards bowling, and definitely a life changer in life. It really changed the way I thought about things, and the way I reacted and responded to things. So I've thanked him every time I see him. I mean, I just saw him, I think 2 years ago at one of the Hall of Fames, and I thanked him again, reminded him what he did for me and whatnot. So it was really nice.
So then you get to the actual event,
Yep.
and obviously all kinds of other sports going on at the Canada Winter Games, not just bowling. How was that whole experience? And then how did the team fare and do in competition against them? Did you know a lot of the other people in other provinces that were playing against, or was it because you were all young, you didn't know a lot of the other people and didn't know what you were getting into?
Yeah, I didn't. That was my first real big competition, right? From that standpoint, I mean, it was top notch. I mean, what they did was phenomenal. They actually built the military built 6 lanes in the military base, like kind of in their gymnasium or whatever in the military base. Cool. They built 6 lanes with, bench seating and stands behind it, and everything kind of thing. Opening ceremonies, closing ceremonies, all that kind of stuff. I mean, we had outfits, leisure suits and track outfits and red pants with the white bowling shirt. I mean, it was everything. I mean, it was really top notch. The accommodations, maybe not so much. We stayed in a again, if I remember this correctly, we stayed in a classroom in schools. So all the sports were in different. So we were teamed up with the wrestlers, right? So and again, they had the women or the ladies at another school. So our school was just all men, right? So they teamed us up with wrestlers. So as you get to know, right? And again, back then there's no internet, there's none of that kind of stuff. So you're playing cards and you're playing board games and all that kind of stuff, right? You get to know some of the wrestlers and whatnot. And lo and behold, right? Lennox Lewis is one of the wrestlers.
Holy cow.
Believe it or not. It was amazing, right? And so he was amazing to be there, right? Obviously. But he got so intrigued about the team sport thing and how the camaraderie of the team sport and how you were cheering, right, for one another and stuff. So he actually came to our finals and watched it and was amazed.
Cool.
Yeah, and that was really cool. I mean, so again, you look back all these years, right, and so on. But the bowlers that were there, I mean, like, give me a second and just listen to this, right? So Bruce Motor and Greg Gigliat from Alberta, right? Jeff Bourne from Manitoba.
Yeah.
Terry McDonald from New Brunswick. Melvin Osmond and Robert Osborne from Newfoundland, right? Alain Refrenier and Gaetan Gauthier and Mike Bellafille from Quebec, right? Blair Pizzi and Dave Jorgensen from Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Like, amazing. And so again, none of us knew one another at all, right? And And for me to be there and then compete against these guys for 35 years afterwards is just amazing. Just amazing.
I was fortunate. Bruce and always spoke highly of it. He said it was probably one of his pinnacle achievements. And I know Lynn, who's on here right now, said Lynn was super jealous because he was just aged out and he couldn't go with him.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So he said he really enjoyed it. He said that obviously his coach, remember, the partying was really good at that point, and his coach was always waiting for them on curfew. That's what Bruce used to say, and so outside the dorms. But he said the competition was phenomenal. He said the experience was second to none. He really enjoyed the whole atmosphere altogether, and he spoke of it highly, immensely. So, and I got that book that I'll send to you if I can get some of it scanned over to you. One of the bios it says is that actually was Giggy's first time buying shoes was going to this event. So right in his bio, so it was kind of funny. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it truly was. And like I say, the whole atmosphere, and then you had spectators there that had nothing to do with bowling, right? Mm-hmm. But just wanted to see the competition and the sports and what. And I've got photos, of all these people in the background, and the stands are full of people, and again, the fact that they, set up 6 lanes just for this competition was
in the middle of the gym.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. That's super cool to me. I mean, how neat would it be to go to just set up a championship set of lanes and have, finals for tournaments and like the Phoenix Open and have the lanes and a dome around things and stuff. I think that would be super cool.
Yeah.
Now, is that the last time that they've done the Canada Games? Was 83? Really?
For bowling, yes. Bowling,
okay.
yes.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, it was the last time bowling was invited to the Canada Winter Games. Walter says it's because Ontario didn't lose a game. So and which both men's and ladies. I mean, both teams were very solid.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. So that kind of that really kicked me into high gear of wanting to compete more and more and more.
Good.
Yeah. So just a great experience.
Well, let's segue into those more competitions. Lots on the resume here, but let's talk more specifically about the Open and some of those championships and some of those events that you guys have both been to over the years. Mike, do you know your stats and the number of Opens? Do you want me to list them off, or do you want to go ahead and give everybody the update of how many times you've been to a provincials and nationals?
Oh dear. So provincials I've been 20 times. 13 on the men's team, 11 as a singles, and 7 on the mixed team. Singles, I didn't fare very well at all. My highest finish was 3rd. I think I did it 3 times. I finished 3rd. Lost twice to Chuck Park, and lost once to Dave Roeder. So never won a game in the step ladders all 3 times. But was successful 4 times out of those 20 in going to nationals. First time was in 1984 with the mixed team, and just again an amazing team. Listen to this Hall of Famers, right? They're all Hall of Famers: Irene Whitley, Pat Mahoney, Lloyd Omerod, Ian Wilson, right? And then we had Nancy Lloyd and our own Tom Patterson. We have a Tom Patterson in Ontario as well. So. And then we had John Conti, 20 years old, 20 or 21, I think he was, youngest coach ever to coach at the Nationals. I don't know if that still stands today, but definitely was then. We won it. We were in Saskatoon then, and won gold in Saskatoon. Pat Mahoney, again, like I say, she was a phenomenal bowler. Pat ended up with high single, high 5, high 10, and high average in the whole tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That's how solid she was. I think she averaged, what did she average? Where's I've got it here? 280 she averaged in that.
Good for her.
So again, coming off of 83, go there in 84, win that. And then have a dry spell for quite a while. Like I was making the Hamilton, like the provincials, but really was not after. So I made the 84, and then 8 years I don't go to any nationals after that. And it was, and in the 80s is when she had all her success, right? So I'm kind of, rah cheering her along, and I'm the guy who really wants this, like you say, she was like, I really wasn't into bowling, and I'm going like, come on, it's like, so I really had a drought there for a while, and it was at some point late in the 80s. I want to say it was 89, it may even been 90. I was bowling in the Open, the provincials, and struggling not being able to throw strikes. So I was what they call a cross alley bowler at that point, right? Bowled right from the right-hand side, right corner, hard straight shot into the head pin, right? I was just that weekend, I was so frustrated getting corner pins and chop offs galore, right? And all of a sudden, like on the Sunday, I don't know, game 3 on the Sunday, I went, okay, I can't keep doing this. So I have no idea what made me do it, but I changed my delivery to a backup delivery. So I moved from the furthest right to the second dot and threw a backup, a little cross alley, trying to bring it back into the pocket, the left pocket. Did that for the rest of the tournament, scored way better. And then I practiced that for a little while. And again, that was this kind of second game changer. That's really what put me into where I bowled the rest of the time was bowling that backup delivery. Really screwed my elbow up, but it was the backup delivery that really propelled me to the good things that I had. So so the Open, I was 99, silver medal team in Regina. Then 2001, the only time, again, something I'm very proud of is every national I've been to, other than one, I came away with a medal. So, and that happened to be in 2001. We actually finished in last place that time. Okay, if you can't
first place somewhere.
I will be last.
Exactly.
And then in 2003, Surrey, BC, silver medal. So 2 silvers and a gold out of the Open, and very proud of it. I mean, like, we had a great time. 2003 team, a mixed team, extremely young team, with that Allison Roberts was on. She was on that team, and we it was actually funny. We thought we had won gold because in the final we beat, I can't remember who we were playing. I think we may have been playing Alberta.
You were playing Alberta, yeah.
And it was Bruce Mortar was on that team.
Yes, that's right. So we won the first game, okay, and then we tied the second game, 4-4, right?
Oh.
And because we tied, Alberta won.
Didn't beat them twice.
Because we didn't beat them twice.
Oh,
right?
wow.
so we kind of thought, well, okay, if they didn't beat us, then do we bowl another game? Like it was just, the whole, not controversy, but the whole, like, nobody was like, okay, what happens, right? So they actually, I think, brought out the rule book just to make sure. But yeah, because we didn't beat them twice, they won. So yeah, kind of different, but.
Does that rule still exist right now, Dex, for your rulebook corner? Told you I was going to get you.
Well, Weber, your stay with us has been great. You'd have to ask Tim. Tim would have a better idea of. That's actually the C5 like open tournament formats, right?
I think a tie would be another game now.
No.
Yeah, it's an interesting rule.
Maybe I don't know. I've never. I have no idea. Like that's honestly, Mike. That's the first time I ever. How do you finish on a tie like that?
I've always wondered that, and I was wondering if, like, there was rumors back in the day that it was like, that your team total points would be worth 3.5, so that it kind of balances that out and whatever. But that's interesting. I'm going to see if it's in here while you guys continue.
While you're looking up,
for some reason, I think they might have changed it because I think at another nationals there was a tie, one game, and they had to redo it. Yeah. I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah.
Who was the one person, who was the one match that would have won their match and then team total? Did you have like a 4-15 or something, Mike, that game, or do you remember?
Yeah, there was. And I'm trying to remember who it was, but
maybe I can pull it up here.
I can't really.
Step ladder.
That's where we would have met there, Mike, too, because I was on the men's team for Alberta that year. So I remember that there was Mike Bates and Bruce Mortar on the mixed team that year. They're two absolute, gods of bowling that were bowling on the mixed at nationals. So
yeah,
it looks like Allison's remembering here that you punched in 10. she's gonna do the play for you. Thanks for the reminder, Ali.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the individual scores that far back on the C5 website. It just has the team points, it looks like. So,
right.
Yeah. No, that'd be crazy. That's
I think exactly. And I think it just stunned everybody, right? Okay, what happens now, right? And whatnot. Yeah. And, and they were saying, well, you didn't beat them twice. And it was like, yeah, but they didn't beat us once. Like it was one of those things, right? Back and forth. And
how does this work?
I mean, in the end, it's all good. I mean, the rule is a rule, right? And everybody was fine with it.
Well,
yeah, just something you remember, right?
If it was me and that happened to me, I think I'd be less fine with it.
Well, you got to think it's going to be on like a timing issue of the tournament, right? The tournament scheduling. Right, if they were to kill that game and have to roll another game, that could be detrimental to everything beyond.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I like Steve's comments there. He's chirping about us. He took us to the second game. You're right, Steve. I didn't play though because I remember breaking my hand punching the wall at Scottsdale, and that little ledge on the side. Yeah. I played, I think, 3 or 4 frames, and I broke my knuckle, and it was out to here at the banquet. But I was still okay to serve drinks out of my hotel room, though. I'm pretty sure I had some tap on that night.
Yeah.
Anyways, Mike did mention. Sorry, Dex, you got a rule. Go for it.
It doesn't exist in there. They still don't have an actual thing written in here as to what happens with that. They have, in case there's a tie going in the qualifying round going into the finals and on the final day, but there's nothing in there saying. Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess that's something we got to look at down the road.
Oh, no, sorry, I lied. In the event of a 4-4 tie, another game will be bowled now.
Oh.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Allison, let's go back.
I like Lynn's comment.
Yeah. I was looking to chat with Cheryl regarding you, Mike. You had mentioned Cheryl in the late '80s and her success at the Open. So let's move to your success there. You know, says you're the most singles and ladies there. So reminisce with us about your Open experiences.
Okay. That year, the Open changed here in 87, 88. They did a regional round. So what happened was you were still qualified in your zone in December. You made your teams. But what they did was they did it like the Youth Challenge where you go against like Niagara, Hamilton.
Go against 4 or 5 zones.
Yeah. Somehow I don't know why. I can't remember why, but that was the first year and the only year they did it. So you had to go bowl, and if out of the 4 teams, whoever won got to bowl at the Open, but they still had the singles that year on the Wednesday. So we bowled Wednesday. To tell you the truth, as you say, I was not a huge into bowling person, but anyways, so we went back. We always have the teams finish, like the mixed teams, the ladies and the men's teams always finished first. And then they would do the step ladder for the singles. So we bowled and we finished. We won. So our team was off to the nationals that year. So and it's really, what happened is when you bowl in the singles, once you qualify, you can buy yourself. Back then you could bet on yourself. You could bet on yourself.
Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
5-Pin Universe does not condone illegal gambling.
There you go. Disclaimer.
So anyways,
There's our PSA.
So my parents had always followed my career of bowling. So every year if I made it, so actually when I first started, when I got out of YBC, I bowled at York West, which is in Toronto. So I made their mixed team for 2 years until I married Michael. Then I moved to Hamilton. So anyways, so that year, for some dumb reason, I didn't think to ask my parents to sponsor me. Well, that was the freaking year I ended up winning the stupid singles.
And lost a lot of money.
And lost them a lot of money. But as they say, I wasn't into bowling as much as Michael was. I ended up beating Anna Schwartzman, and I know she was upset about it because she says, I always finish second. I had, like, as I say, I didn't, had no idea what it was about or anything, but I ended up winning both. Back then, you were allowed to bowl both, and we went to Gatineau, Quebec for the nationals. Awesome. And we went down there, we won the gold as a team, and of course, it's the same thing. You finish the teams first, and then you bowl singles. I believe I ended up third in the step ladder. So when we won the gold, you're so wrapped up in the game and the emotions and everything. And bowling all those games, it was a lot of bowling for me. But I remember when I finished with the team, I sat in a corner by myself and it just drained out of me. I was just completely out of it. So I remember when I went to practice for the singles, I threw the ball in the gutter.
Yeah.
Throw the ball. I was in the gutter. I was like, oh God. So I ended up losing the game. I ended up fourth in the step ladder. I remember that part of it. But so that team that year, we had Sue Davies, Connie Dreer, Pam Saluka, Josie Tuck, Darlene Wolf, and Ed McCallum, Helen McCallum's husband, was our coach. Yes, and we gave him a few heart attacks a couple of times, but
welcome to coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then next year, we won again as a team. We went to Red Deer, Alberta. But we end up with the bronze medal. But every tournament, nationals I've been to, I've always had a medal. I've never lost anything. And then
That's a good stat.
Yeah. So then I had quit bowling for a little while because we had children and getting into there. So in 1985, I thought, oh, I'm going to try bowling again. Our team won. We went back to Hull, Quebec again. And we won a silver back then.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then in Red Deer, Alberta in 1989, I made the all-star team. They had all-star teams where you pick 5 bowlers. That was the year I was picked to be on that all-star team. That's, as I say, and then after that, my kids were into hockey, bowling, dancing. It was too much for me. So
Yeah,
I let him
priorities
bowl.
changing.
Yeah, it was way too much for me.
Some serious accolades.
We're looking back and like I've told her a few times where I'm grateful that she allowed me to continue to bowl, right? I say allowed, right? I mean, she was the one that said, I'll take the step back, right? And get the kids to dance, Perry to dance and Matthew to hockey and, and so on and so forth. So, fortunate that way. So yeah, so her career was very short.
Mm-hmm.
Well, still, judging by the resume, I wouldn't say it's something to be
Well, I'm still,
humble over, like Cheryl, like Allison says. You've got quite the career as well.
yeah, I'm still a part of bowling. Like I'm more behind the scene, like the YBC supervisor, the kids in tournaments, coaching the kids. I'm still on the Hamilton board, and it's been 30 years. So I'm still part of bowling. I just don't bowl. Yeah. Which
before we go on to Masters, just a question for both of you: favorite memory of all time playing at the Open?
Oh wow!
No kidding.
We didn't prepare you for this one.
You just broke them.
Something that could stand out for you for the Open Championships, or playing at a Nationals, or playing at a Provincials, even making all the teams at Hamilton. What would be something that would stand out for the Open?
So this was probably towards like 2008, 2009, thereabouts. Bowling in the Provincials, in the stepladder finals. I started on, I can't remember whether it's 5, 6, 7 in a row, and pick a deuce. First time ever I picked a deuce. And Martin Talbot, God bless his soul, he went and got the 2-pin right afterwards, and got everybody in, from Hamilton teams to sign the 2-pin, and gave me the 2-pin at the banquet.
That's awesome.
Still have it.
Good job, Martin. That was a big question I asked you, and that's your memory. Is it, Mike, of ripping a deuce?
Yeah. I mean, like I say, I mean, lots of good, all these other memories and whatnot.
Of course, yeah.
Again, but yeah, that one kind of sticks out. It's like somebody said to me, or like you can't necessarily remember the people you beat, but you remember the people you lost against. Yeah. And that's where maybe the 2-pin comes in, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that pin behind you, is that the 2-pin?
It might be.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
yeah.
That one.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Look at that.
That's super cool.
So what I did was I brought some of the 5-pin stuff down here, right? Just to kind of make it our home still and whatnot.
Totally.
So you show Americans this pin and they go, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Right. And then try to explain it to them, right? And then the bowling ball, right? And so try to explain it to them. It's just like they have no clue.
Yeah, especially down in Florida. You know what? If you were up in like the northeastern states or something, you show them the ball at least, they'll be like, duck pin or something. But down in Florida, that's a tough sell.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what about yours? Do you have one? Well, how about being 7 months pregnant? She was 7 months pregnant at nationals.
Low center of gravity.
There's been plenty, right?
If you knew the way she bowled, right? I have no idea how she did it because she was a very L-shaped bowler, if you want to call it that, right? Like she was bent at the hips, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And for her to be bent that far over and getting her arm with this big belly, I have no idea how she did it, but she did. So
We won gold.
yep.
Yeah.
That's great. You know, didn't Helene Godmare say it was pregnant at one of the nationals? I'd be interested to hear some of the, ladies out there who have played at a nationals or provincials or some of their best events pregnant, right?
Yeah, I did bowl very well.
Right.
It keeps the arm motion normal. You can't move your arm around a whole lot when you're, it's
It was good
consistent.
For balance.
Okay, yeah, fair.
It's good for balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't going left or right. You were going.
Going straight.
Yeah. Let's move over to the Masters now. This is a pretty incredible stat here we'll read off. Mike, at your Ontario Masters, you've played 22 times, have a 260 provincial average for over 1,500 games you've played in, and the second most all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a few games that you've played there at Nationals. You've 7 provincial tournaments you've won, and the 4 times the Mark 10 men's champion. What is that?
So the Ontario Masters had again, back to the days with Ernie Rogie as kind of being the technical guy, was wanting some sort of competition where for accuracy of whatever. So and then there was a sponsor, the cigarette sponsor, Mark 10, right?
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Right. So Ernie came up with this thing where you would have to hit the left 2-pin by itself, the right 2-pin by itself, and then the head pin. And you'd throw 10 balls, right? You'd throw 10 balls and you'd count your score, whether it was, if you got 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, whatever. So we do that for 4 tournaments prior to bowling the first game, because it would only take 10 minutes to do, kind of thing, right? You would do it, and then at the year-end tournament, you would have the finals where everybody who had the most score, they would take a percentage, and you'd do it again, and you'd count up to 10, and whoever. So I was successful 4 times in that thing, and again, only one to win 4 times. And something like that doesn't exist today. I think they stopped that probably in 2010 or 11, I think, something like that. But that was definitely a mainstay in the tournament side of things.
That's super interesting, honestly. So I've heard that called Mark 10 forever, and mostly as like a drill, left 2-pin, right 2-pin, hit the middle or whatever.
Yeah.
I had no idea that's why it was called Mark 10.
That was one of the main reasons, is because the score sheet even had the Mark 10 cigarette emblem on the top of it.
Wow, that's amazing, and and we still call it that all these years later, and they're still getting free advertisement in 5-pin bowling. That's crazy.
That's insane.
But it says 10 national appearances with Ontario, all of them with a medal accomplishment. 6-time Masters men's team national champion, 2 times silver medals, and 1 time bronze. Can you run us through some of those men's team championships? That's a pretty good stat. 6-time national champion of the Masters.
Yeah. A lot of them were different from a standpoint of different teammates, right? From having Lloyd Omrod as an older gentleman to, having, there was one time when there was Jim Thorpe, Terry Little, myself, all in our mid 40s or whatever. So, big variance in ages and whatnot. So, you got to learn a lot from, in the younger years where, Ian Cameron was leading the way and Greg Peteritis and Brian Kay at that point was the coach, probably 95% of the time on the men's team. So he was bringing his wisdom and his camaraderie to the teams. So very good, again, just enjoyable. And then, like you say, playing against, the guys from the Winter Games again, seeing them so many years afterwards and competing against them, was something I'll never forget. I think, and then the friendship, that you bring and you get over time and so on. So very fortunate, and again, playing in all different places, everything from, Newfoundland to, Surrey, BC and Victoria. I bowled in Victoria. And so got to, see the country a lot through 5-pin bowling. I don't know if I could tell you, or you asked me what lanes I bowled at in Saskatoon. I don't think I could tell you. To be honest, right? And so, but very good times. Again, and all the stuff that goes around it. The team parties, and so on, and the activities at the nationals.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, just a big deal, and that's partly why in 2008, 2015, even when I pretty much wasn't bowling anymore, I wanted to host the nationals, right? I wanted to give back a little bit, right? And enjoyed that probably as much as I did bowling. So
how about the singles? 2005 Tournament Master Singles Champion. Do you recall some of the competitors you would have played there, or how the final? Because Masters step ladder, again, probably every week. How does the finale work for the Masters?
Yeah, it's a step ladder. It's only a 3-person step ladder though. I think the C5 is 5, I think, right?
But the qualifying of it is to get to the step ladder is match play throughout.
Match play points. Yep, 2 points for a win.
Not a block like the Open is, right?
Yeah. So it's you bowl. So it's 21 games, right? You bowl each competitor 3 times. So in 2005, we were in Red Deer again. Anybody know where we bowled? I can't remember where we bowled.
You bowled Heritage, you bowled Sylvan, and I think you might have bowled Riverside.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's your answer.
There you go.
Probably Heritage for the step ladder.
I would assume so. Probably.
What did the center look like? We can be able to help you out.
Are you serious?
All right, never mind.
If I remember correctly, those were the centers deck. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, even Alice remembers. Yeah.
So qualified second then, and actually going into the last day, I won the last 5 games to kind of get up the ladder and get into second. So I played Dave Urich from Saskatchewan. And won 2 straight. Again, you had to win 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
So 1, 2 straight then. And then played Leonard Raby from Quebec. And Leonard beat me the first game. And then I came back and won the second 2 games. Pretty proud of that. I mean, I bowled for those. So I bowled 5 games. I bowled 1493 those 5 games.
In the step ladder. Wow.
Yeah, in the step ladder. Yeah. Really proud of that one from a standpoint of is my first singles win ever. Well, my first and only. That was the only time I've got an individual medal. So
And that was probably the only year he went by himself.
yes, I went by myself. Yeah,
that's what Carrie said. Yeah.
Yeah, because again, back when the kids got older, my son would come to me to the nationals. My daughter would come. Well, there's my daughter. There we go. Yeah. So I was really proud of that.
Was it a big weight off your shoulders winning that? Was it a big weight off your shoulders winning that first singles event?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, it was one of those accomplishments I wanted to do. And again, it was towards the end of the career kind of thing. So yeah. So in 2002, when I lost, though, I actually thought I had a better chance in 2002 than I did in 2005. In 2002, I qualified first, right? So, didn't have as many games to bowl, obviously, right, and whatnot. And I played Bruno Cecire again from Quebec, and he beat me 2 straight games. But maybe you asked me, what was the one thing you remember about the Nationals, and maybe this is what it should be. So I lost the first game, 274 to 271, right? But in that game, I had a set of aces that I spared, and then punched the head pin the next frame, right? So a bit of a downer, and then I only lose by 3 pins.
Sure.
So the next game, I get a set of aces. I spare it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What center was this at? I shouldn't ask.
You might know this one.
We've been down this, Dex.
I know. I'm sorry.
It was in Thunder Bay. It was at Mario Bowl.
Yeah.
Because the singles bowled mostly at Superior, but they had the finals at Mario.
Right.
Free Fall House, right? I think it was Double Diamond, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It's not still free fall, but it's like half 10 pin, half 5 pin.
Okay. Yeah. So again, I spare back-to-back sets of aces in 2 games, right? And punch the head pin both times and lose both games. That was disheartening. That was like, man, that was my chance, right? That's what I was thinking. That was my chance to win.
Yeah. Your TSN turning point. You spare the aces. You're like, okay, let's take advantage of this, and then you punch after. That's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah.
Kelly Martin's asking about Heritage. Is that the year that we were slapping mosquitoes on the approach? I feel like there's a story there for us.
Is that the year we were what?
Slapping mosquitoes on the approach.
2005.
The bugs at Heritage, those flies.
Oh, no.
Do we bring up a sore subject for Adam or what?
Yeah. Oh, yes. PTSD.
So I don't remember that. You guys fill me in.
Well, mine was a totally different subject.
It sounds like Allison was saying an old.
Oh, maybe an old.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. Adam had a chance to win the Heritage Traditional on a fly, came across him, and he lost. So
ball for it all, and had a fly come right in front of me, and it didn't do like a full flyby, just kind of hovered there. So I backed off and went up and just missed. So yeah, PTSD. Good old Heritage.
That's somebody in their former life coming to get you, Adam. So
guaranteed. Oh yes, I'm aware.
Yeah.
Tim's demons.
I believe it was Masters, but Nathan Cooper also had a question asking you about the shorts in Thunder Bay.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that was the year I think the Masters started allowing you to wear shorts. And I really asked the guys, do you really want to see a 6 foot, 120-pound, skinny legged guy in shorts all week? So, yeah, so I did. So bowling singles, I didn't wear the shorts. So, but yeah, that was kind of the thing. I mean, there was no way I was wearing shorts bowling. I don't like wearing shorts golfing, never mind bowling.
I think you're allowed to now make a choice, right? I mean, you can have 2 guys in the team that play shorts, 3 guys who wear pants.
You mix and match.
Yeah.
I think back then it was one or the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Early on. Yeah.
Let's move on to some of the other extras that you've done. So some of the Hall of Fame and some of the association sort of stuff. So pretty interesting and neat resume here. Both of you are Hamilton 5-pin Hall of Fame members. And then Mike, you are as well part of the Ontario 5-pin Hall of Fame members. Can you tell us about some of those induction ceremonies, or how did those come out to be?
A lot of the associations here in Ontario are zones. And what they do is they do Hall of Fames for their bowlers in their zone of their accomplishments. It started out a while ago, but then it stopped for a couple of years, and then now it got started back up again. I think we've done it for quite a few years. I think it's only every 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they induct only every 2 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So they what they do, they have a committee. You put in people's requests on their accomplishments and all that kind of stuff, and then the committee picks on who gets inducted, and it's I can't remember. I don't know. I know we just started it back this year. They were supposed to do it last year. I think Martin was supposed to do it last year, but with the COVID, they were going to have a dinner and a presentation. It was a huge thing, and you would get inducted. You get a plaque. And then you're part of your association, like Hamilton 5-pin Bowlers Association, as a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm. We out here we don't have a huge dinner or gala like that, but we've seen the photos, and I think was it John Conte just got inducted a couple of years ago, or somebody out there, and I know
yes.
It was really good because Mitch was showing me photos out there and stuff like that, and. It's quite Mitch, yeah. But it was quite last name. It's quite the spiel you guys do and everything. It's quite like it's really nice what you guys do out there. It's an honor, right? No, it's an honor. It's definitely a great thing what you guys do.
Yeah, but that one is part of the Ontario 5-pin Bowlers Association, and zones have their own. Yeah.
Okay.
There's 2 different types. You get inducted to your own zone.
Okay.
Or you can also be inducted into the Ontario Bowlers Association Hall of Fame.
Right.
The group does do a fantastic job of the whole thing. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard, even Walter Heaney has this speech about the Hall of Fame and future of bowling and things like that. Again, we've probably heard it a dozen times, and it's still. You love to hear it every time. So,
well, he also has he has the greatest speaking voice in all of 5-pin bowling too. So that does help.
Yeah, he does. He's he was a true life mentor to me as well growing up, going through the Masters and being involved on the board. I was on the board for 20 years, and obviously on the board having lots of presence, around Walter and whatnot, and so yeah, he was a good mentor.
We need to get that recorded for 5P Universe. Is that the speech? I recall it somewhere along the lines, but
Mark, it's a wonderful speech,
right? I know Lynn Howell has a really good speech too.
Does he?
Yeah, so it'd be really cool to get some of these great speeches recorded or live video. So we'll be coming for you guys.
Yeah, good. It is wonderful. It is. So getting in, obviously, once a lot of my, as I said, when Pat Mahoney and you start seeing all these people from Hamilton get inducted, it obviously becomes one of the things that you'd like to accomplish. And in 2013, I was elected into it. So it was a great day. I remember I had a lot of my family there, sisters and brother-in-laws and nieces and nephews and my son and my daughter and my mom was there, and so yeah, it was one of those things. It was very nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Interesting. Brett Hendrickson brought up earlier about Mike. You were ranked number 22 in the top 90 male, and Cheryl 42 on the women's list. And that's a pretty nice accomplishment. It'd be great to see that list somewhere. So, Brett or Tim, maybe you already have it, or somebody, if you can send that along to the 5P Universe, we'd love to be able to dissect and look at that list overall. I don't think other provinces would have something that extensive for sure. But something for us to emulate for sure, even the Hall of Fame induction stuff. So please share that info along with us. Would be great. That's right. Lynn, thank you for sharing your speech calling Bowling is for Nerds, and you would know that one the best.
Oh, geez. There you go.
Yeah.
How about family? You had mentioned a couple of times that family and brothers and siblings and sisters and people who bowled. Share with us some of the other extensive, and even your kids, your range of bowling that they've done as well.
Yeah. My sister Sharon, right? She was she squeezed in at number 90 on the top 90 list. So good for her. But she had 4. She was at nationals for 4 times, right? My nephew Jason, which is Sharon's son, went to nationals for 4 steps. My brother-in-law Harold won a Masters tournament as well. And then my daughter Carrie. So out of all of this, right, and all of this, Carrie's the only one in the family left bowling. So it's right. It's kind of sad in a way of how much we bowled. And now Carrie's the only one bowling. But I'm sure that her son is going to bowl, who's 2 years old, and bowls in the house already. So
nice.
And does the Wii bowling and watches Wii bowling, and so I'm sure she's going to get him bowling. So maybe it's not all over yet.
He bowls 24/7.
Yeah, it's like
you should
love it.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Carrie, yeah. So Carrie's made provincials, 11 times, right? She's been to the Open Nationals once, been on the Masters Nationals twice. So she's had a pretty solid career as well. I'm very proud of that. And my son Matthew, who didn't bowl for long, went to I can't remember where he was.
He went to
Calgary?
No, BC.
BC, and as a teaching master, and they won silver there. And I believe that's probably the last time he threw a ball. So
oh, really?
It was kind of like one and done, right? It's like, so lots of family things going on there. We bowl in the Open, and like I say, my sister Joanne, who was never a competitive bowler, she'd be at that Open watching Cheryl and myself every year. She would not miss it, kind of thing. So and then having the kids, our kids, come to nationals with us and things like that. When we talk about family, I will add one thing here, right? So Carrie gets born in 85. So we're going to a bowling tournament at Bardon Lanes, right? In Beat the Champ tournament, it was called. So we're going in there and she's kind of going, do we really want to go? And do we have to go? And so what does she do? She decides to break her water going into the bowling alley so I don't bowl in the tournament.
She just decided that, eh?
Yeah, she just decided that. It's like,
yeah. Out of spite.
So it's like,
She was born in a bowling alley.
Yeah. So, and then, like I say, and then age 7, she's bowling 7 months pregnant with our son, and so bowling has definitely been in the circle of life for bowling for us. That's for sure.
Totally.
Now,
sorry, how you asked me from bowling what you remember for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I won the bursary in 81. My daughter won the bursary 22 years later. That was a huge thing for me. And then when our son made the nationals for master, that was 25 years after I made it to the nationals. So that's a huge thing as a memory for me for bowling is my family.
Totally.
So that's what I live for, is to see them. But that's my memory of remembering those things. Or my 2 kids. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's super cool.
It's funny. I kind of always believe in like what happens if things don't happen in your life. And I was thinking about the bursary. If you didn't win the bursary, you would never have met Mike, probably.
Yeah,
right?
Darn.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? You always think about that, right? I mean, what happens if that never happened, right? You might have, right? So it's kind of crazy to think about that. And on a side note, but when I was speaking with Allison, I didn't know how extensive your family was. I didn't know you were related to others like the Talbots and all that other people. Like, I didn't think your family was that big and like that widespread in the bowling community. Yeah. It's crazy.
And in the Talbots, I mean, you talk about the Talbots, right? I mean, not only from Jason and Natalie being married, but I owned a bowling center with Bob Talbot for 2 years. We partnered up and bought a Hopedale Bowl in Oakville for a couple of years, and and then my work it was kind of like one of those things where okay, I got to do one of them full time, and sharing the lanes probably wasn't going to be financially, like the best decision to share. So, so Bob took over at that point, and it was actually a bit of a blessing from a career standpoint at work, because I flourished in work after that. So, but enjoyed that. Cheryl helped. She was there in the afternoons, helping with the afternoon leagues.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go out there in the evenings, and
my parents.
So
you got a little crazy probably with all the little kids too, right? So at that time,
there for YBC while we owned it. So kept in that sport.
But before we get into the final section, I know we had somebody talk about what about the CBC, and I know Mike's had quite the success on the CBC. In '93, he was the CBC champion, and he won $27,000 as the winner. Now that's quite the money. '94, he was runner up at $10,000. We'll bring up Martin's thing in just a moment here, because I'm interested to know about that story. Mike's individual stats: he had a perfect game in March of '94. a high triple of 11-17, which is incredible. High 5 of 1669, high 10 of 3010, high 15 of 4474, high league average of 279, and this is incredible. Estimated earnings over $100,000. That's quite something. $100,000 in bowling. Yeah.
Well, the CBC obviously helped that quite a bit, right?
Well, that's still 60 some thousand you made on the side though, but
that's crazy. $27,000 for first place is an insane number, especially in like the early 90s. I mean, that's like, you know, a quarter of a house.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a lot of money. You know, and again, a young family and whatnot. We certainly put it to good use.
Totally.
Yeah.
Was there big sponsors at that point?
Sorry?
Sponsors.
Was there big sponsors? Like, where did that money come from? It was never like that when we were playing.
Well, I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that the bowling proprietors put that up. The BPAC put the money up, and CBC donated the airtime, if you want to call it that. I think that's how it came about.
I believe that's how the prize fund used to be funded. That whole show was funded basically by the proprietors. And you're right, Mike. It was they would give the airtime, but the cost of everything was paid, and the prize money was paid by the proprietors. It wasn't, you know, Carling O'Keefe. Of course, there was a couple of sponsors that were sort of in there at a time, but certainly that money was mostly proprietors.
But I think
do you remember who you played in the finals, or who you would have played those years? And in '94, you were the runner-up. Did you still have to qualify out of Ontario to make it, or did you get an automatic re-entry?
You got an automatic re-entry. Yeah, which was obviously very nice, right? I mean, not to have to go through the qualifying thing again, right? So, so again, it's one of those things. I know who I lost against in '94. Yes, I was Willie Orn. Now I did ask my buddy John Conti last night to send me. He has the so in '93, Bob Medforth was my first opponent. Second opponent was Daryl Bailey. Third opponent, and then Doug Lakeman from Edmonton is who I beat in the final.
Lakeman.
Yeah, Doug Lakeman.
I've heard that name.
Maybe it's Claire's brother. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
And who did you play in the final? Did you already say that?
That was Doug. I played Doug in the final. Yeah.
Gotcha. So only 3 matches.
So 4 matches. So I must have missed one. Yeah, it was only 4. That's just the other thing, right? I mean, you get there and you win 4 matches and you get 27 grand. I mean,
good payday.
Pretty good deal, right?
Totally.
Well, it's similar to the 5-pin universe or it's a WCBT event, right? There's only 3 or 4 matches you have to win the championship
for the tour finals.
Yeah. Not for 27 grand.
No, certainly. Soon,
not
I hope.
Yet. Yeah. But I think that's awesome, though. I mean, the fact that so CBC puts up $40,000 in prize money, the bowling proprietors puts in $40,000 of prize money, and CBC donates the airtime. I think that's great. I mean, that's $40,000 spent towards advertising, but that's advertising that's lasted a lifetime. You know, so I think that's well worth the money at CBC or the bowling proprietors. I wish they had the money to do that again. But I mean, how much? Somebody said, you know, they sell franchises, and I remember that very clearly. I mean, I wonder how many they would have had to have sold to make that viable. But if CBC or TSN would ever be willing to donate airtime again, that is absolutely worthwhile. I think for 40 grand.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure the cost on that CBC Sports Day, but it was a ridiculous amount of money just to get us back onto TV.
It was astronomical. I
It
remember
was
that.
like 80 grand or something like ridiculous, if I remember correctly. But
and I think that's the challenge now, is not that, the proprietors or finding the money. It would be the airtime being given to us. Obviously we had that message from one of our members here that had talked to Paul and, regarding the different TSN, CBC, the structure and how everything went. And, that's the challenge of it, but doesn't mean it's done. There's different avenues, and that's what 5-Pin Universe, and that's, proprietors or, C5s or whatever have to figure out what the right avenue is for bowling to get mainstream and get on. If it's YouTube or Facebook, then we'll figure it out.
But it's funny to me that it costs so much to put them on now, when CanCon, like the Canadian content rules say it needs to be 50% Canadian content on TV and television for nationally, and I can't see them actually coming close to that until they start airing a whole bunch of curling and stuff like that, the Briar and stuff. But I don't understand how they're even hitting that 50% threshold that they need to. We need to get back in there.
Yeah,
that's my rant.
Well, we keep doing our thing with the virtual events or doing the the WCBT events. There's going to be a way. It's just going to take time. It's not going to be year 1, year 2, year 6. It's going to be keep at it, right? And we can't give up, but we'll get there. I feel like there's a bit of a debate coming up here. Mike, we had mentioned in the future of 5-pin bowling some segments. Actually, first, let's go back to Cheryl and the story about Martin Talbot getting busted with having a party. That is really good. Yeah, that is good information we want to hear. Cheryl, tell us all the details of what Martin was up to.
At Hopedale.
No, it was at the Optimist Club.
Do we need to send Martin?
He might have to remind my memory, but the only party I remember, we did a Masters tournament, and everybody came back to our place. Remember the townhouse?
Yeah.
Ian Wilson went through my coffee table.
Good start.
Everybody ended up staying over, drinking like crazy. I don't know if you Brent Flynn. He probably hasn't bowled for quite a while. He was in my bathroom sleeping. Mike Tuck was under my coffee table.
And got sick in the
in someone's shoes. Puked in someone's shoes. It was great. But Martin, at 93 at the Optimist Club. I
just sent Martin the link, so we might get him in here to refresh your memory.
You might have to, as we say, we're getting old.
We'll see if he sees it. But
yeah, he's gonna.
Oh, he's just saying something simple. I had friends at the bowling alley. We cleaned it up too nice, but you found the score sheet still on the table. That was always my problem. When my parents would go away, I'd throw a party, and then the house would be cleaner than when they left. Right? And they would know, well, duh. Clearly, you had a party, and right.
That's fine.
Yeah. Anyway,
93 at the. Oh wow, that's crazy.
So it sounds like Martin was quite the party animal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was
we all were back then.
Was or is? Yeah. Maybe slow down a little bit. Anyways, I was referring to a debate that we might be having here on our pre-organized agenda, Mike. We had the discussion about 17-inch or 18-inch pin decks.
He's ready.
You might have had something to say about that.
Well, so how many bowling centers have gone to 17-inch? Do we know?
Like 3 or 4.
Oh, that's it.
I maybe more than that. I think there's two in the Edmonton.
I guess, yeah. I always forget Bronx. So, and Bonnie Doon Bronx. I know Nebs, obviously. Elmira, before it shut down, did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be a couple others. Let's say under 10. Let's say under 10 be safe, probably. Yeah.
But of those 10 though, a lot of tournaments are probably held at those locations, right? So Nebs is an example, right? They've got, they've got lots of Masters tournaments. They have the tour there, or whatever it's called.
Club tour.
So I guess I challenge myself, and I've had some, discussions with some other guys a little bit about this, is, why is there a need to go to 17-inch? To me, it's like, making the net bigger in hockey so you can score more goals, or making the hole in golf bigger so that you can, score better. And I guess it just seems to me like it's a fundamental change in the game itself. And I know that, and I think I remember talking to Tom England at one point when he was doing this, and I know it has a lot to do with league bowlers and getting more strikes, right? Trying to get them to get more strikes or whatnot. But the byproduct, to me, the byproduct of that is just, if you can get more strikes, you can obviously get more spares and you can pin better. Doesn't that change the whole game?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We have a special friend in here. I totally agree with you, 100%. We can come back to that in a second. Hello, Martin.
Hey, Tim or Dex, how are you?
Good. How are you, buddy?
Good. I still can't tell you two apart. I don't know what it is.
I know we look identical. I mean, we both wear glasses, and I have a symmetrical face. It's almost the same.
Do I
hey,
really
Mike. Hey, Cheryl.
This?
How are you?
I'm fine. Do I really want to hear this?
No, I.
Yeah, apparently you threw a wild party or something. What we want to know a lot of the gory details.
I blame it on my dad because he trusted me with a set of keys. First mistake. So I kind of snuck in with some high school friends, and I made sure I cleaned everything up so proper, right? I was like, I can't get busted doing this. I cleaned the whole place up so good, but I left the score sheets on the table, and Cheryl found them the next day because she went into work and then gave them to my dad. Yeah. So let's just say I lost my keys for a bit.
Hopedale Bowl.
That's right, at Hopedale.
Yeah.
So Martin, I don't even think I heard that story. So you did a good job of keeping it quiet.
I talk to Cheryl quite often. It doesn't surprise me that you forgot something.
That's funny. You know what?
Optimus Party.
Yeah,
the Optimus Club was when Mike won in '93, and that was the night. And it makes me think because our good friend Christine, it was 21 years ago yesterday that she passed away, and she was part of this funny story because Dustin had taken Brent's keys and threw them in the snow, and Christine and Steph were stuck at a Tim Hortons and had a quarter, and they didn't know who to call because it was 2:00 in the morning, and they were like, "Who are we going to call to know how we're going to get home because we're screwed?" But Mike and Cheryl always had some great parties. That's for sure.
That's funny. You know what? I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, as a bowling alley owner, I would gladly give keys to somebody that's going to go in, do their bowling, but make the place spotless. What, like cleaning crew for free bowling? I'm totally in on that. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Exactly. Looks like we're getting some keys.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, have you changed the locks in 25 years since I used to work there?
Yes. Yeah, too many break-ins. We've had to, unfortunately.
My keys won't work anymore. Gotcha.
You still have keys.
Yeah,
your alarm code might still work.
Yeah. Nothing like a rock can work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
No,
one of my favorite stories with Mike was with Al Hardiman and Brenda Hardiman. And so Mike was always the first guy to bed. It usually was Cheryl that would stay up late. And same with Al, right? But it was the opposite that night. So it ended up being me, Mike, and Brenda. Mike, we ended up in the Holiday Inn restaurant. We were eating, I don't know, we got in the service elevator. We're in places where we're not supposed to go.
We were in the service elevator and got into the kitchen.
The kitchen.
That's right.
And got cereal and cornflakes and frosted flakes and riding up and down the service elevator for like a couple of hours.
Oh yeah, and Brenda thought it was snowing outside, but no, it was frosted glass.
Yes.
Oh jeez.
Right.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's
I
too
can tell you
funny.
another story about Al Hardiman and Cheryl here.
No.
So at the Masters Nationals,
Yeah.
the Masters Nationals in Oshawa, where Cheryl and I are staying with Al and Brenda Hardiman. So after one of the evenings, right, we get back to the hotel and we all take our turn in the bathroom. And Cheryl was always the last one in the bathroom because she takes 17 hours in the bathroom. So Al, I said to Al, Al, let's switch spots. He goes, what? I said, let's switch spots to see if Cheryl notices. So I jump into bed with Brenda. Al goes into the bed where Cheryl's going to come in. So Al's in bed, and Al Hardiman he's just
Very short.
lovable life, right? But he could not stop laughing and giggling, and we're going, Al, stop! She's going to come up, and he'd giggle, right? So anyways, he finally settled down, and Cheryl would come in and she'd go into bed, right? And she's in bed there. A couple, 30 seconds go by or whatever, and nothing happens. And Brenda and I are kind of like, what's right? So eventually, right, Al moves over, and then she figures out that it's not me because Al is so much shorter. And she jumped out of bed, and Al, we just could not stop laughing. And that was one of the Nationals things. It was just like, it was hilarious.
But that's always the best thing of those Nationals things is those little things like that outside of the bowling that makes everything so funny and memorable and creates those friendships forever. And that's super cool. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go back and keep debating the 17, 16, 18s. Martin, stick with us. You can hang with us till the end here. Folks, maybe 10, 15 minutes left just to watch our time. But 17 inches, 18 inches. Walter also brought up the fact about the bases. So happy to discuss that further. Obviously, the discussion is, did we need to make the change, or was the beneficial to the average bowler, the tournaments and stuff like that being run? So Dex, I think you finished off on making a comment.
Yeah, I agree. Like from the competitive standpoint of the game, personally, I dislike it, but that's just me. I think it takes away a little bit from the game. I really pride myself on being able to find lines and solutions to all scenarios or ball change or whatever and adjust to the lanes. And I feel like going to 17 inches, the strike zone becomes so wide that it does take away that portion of the game. And I dislike it. I understand why it's happened. And I understand that it does make the game a little bit more fun for the casual bowler. And I do get that. And even from a production standpoint, whenever I watch hockey, the most fun games are when you see a game where it's 8-10, shootout back and forth. But I'd like to see a goalie make a save every once in a while too. So from the competitive standpoint, I dislike it, but from the proprietor standpoint, I kind of understand why they did it. Yeah.
So have you seen a change in the in the averages or in the tournament results and games and things like that? Like
totally. So for our Masters is a pretty good example. Our Masters, or in a game set, if you want to win at Bonnie Doon, you're gonna have to shoot, 2,500 probably for 8. If you shoot 2,400, you're probably second. There's gonna be or second or third. There's gonna be 2 to 3 people over 2,400 every time. But I think the biggest when you mix in the 17 with the 17 on center bases with the black bases, that's when you really see the pinfall change in my mind. I think Nebs noticed that too. Even when they went to the 17 on center, it was still on the tougher side from just from stories that I've heard, because I've never actually had the fortune of playing there. But when they switched it over to 17 on center with the black bases, everything sort of changed. And I think that really changes the scoring that way. For me, it's the thing is you got to do some warm up and do some practice and do your Mark 10s and make sure you find a line, because you know what, I've seen people miss with the ball in the lane still, gutter side. So that's a little bit different to get used to, but yeah, I don't know if, like I said, from a competitor standpoint, I'd rather play black bases on 18 inches than I would ever on 17, me personally.
Yeah. Mike, like in Edmonton, our major men's league we used to have that was around, and I know Lynn's on here, for 40 plus years. It died because of the 17 inches and the black bases combined. And the only reason why we did it, I mean, the league was kind of getting stale a little bit, but the guys on here can attest. It was the first one that missed maybe the middle, or the first one to maybe hung a corner, lost the match. It was just ridiculous. And it didn't even become any game of skill. It just became a game of how many strikes you could throw in a match, right? And it became not fun anymore, right? And we noticed that, and nothing against like our major men's league, our C bowler or our third bowler on the team was about a 230 average, and their averages went up to about 250, and it just kind of it kind of narrowed the gap between the higher average, I think, a little bit, just because they got a little bit more room for error. And then for us, it just became crazy for our open stats. For example, I know Dester's talking about our masters, but our open stats, if we wanted to have our Saturday, usually we held at Bonnie Doon. If we want to be in the hunt, so say top 15, if you want to make a team, say top 15, you're 275 average after 10, right? For guys. And that's, to me, I think part of the open, for me personally, I think a lot of us can attest is the grind of the 20 games, right? And and that's not what we're getting out there, right? So it's a little bit different. You're not outplaying somebody, you're outscoring somebody. I always said with the two different versions.
And I guess that's part of my debate with this. Is don't you want the exceptional bowler to always, not to always win, but so in other words, the guy who can spare and pin, shouldn't he have as equal a chance than the guy who can only throw strikes?
Totally. So the way I see it is I see this as almost a oil pattern debate on 10 pin.
Sure.
There's a house shot, and I would be okay. I would be okay with every center going to 17 on center bases if they're like Nebs, where Nebs has the capability of actually switching them. They could switch between 17 and 18, at least on some of the lanes. Probably not the 10-pin convertibles, but on the strictly 5-pin ones, they have a switch where they can actually switch the buckets. I would be okay with that for the casual bowlers, even some of the league bowlers. And then when it comes to tournament time, flip that switch, make it 18 inches, and go from there and use it like an oil pattern. That's kind of my thought. I do want to touch on one comment here from Brett, where he says anything that helps the seniors and casual league bowlers throw better games is good for the sport. I 100% agree with you.
I think it's the complete opposite.
But yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't truly help the seniors. Casual bowlers, when they hit the middle, it might help them. Seniors, honestly, not so much. It creates so much deflection that you're hitting the outside of that 3 pins now, because the 3 pins have been moved in, and you see a lot of balls go into the gutter on the pin side, like before the pin, right? But before the 2 pin, you see a lot of corners left because of it. So I don't know truly how much it actually helps the seniors. I know even with the black bases are almost detrimental to seniors at that point too, but especially on the 17s.
Adam, do you want to speak on behalf?
Yeah, no, it's I think the word is it takes that grind out of the game. Exactly what you're saying there, Tim, and it narrows the gap from your so-called C bowler to your A bowler, where all of a sudden you can't grind to win tournaments. And back in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, the best bowlers were the best bowlers because they could make it through those grinds and long tournaments, and they put in that extra work that right now, you don't have to put in that extra work, right? You just hit the middle and watch pins go down. It's a totally different game, and everything's going to evolve, right? There's always evolution in any type of a sport. I didn't even mind, the new black bases, although you fundamentally changed the physics of the game. The 17-inch centers, to me, it's just ridiculous. But again, there's evolution. There's options out there. I love your idea, Dex. Like, if you have that option to, go tournament mode at 18s, and still play, a standard tournament, and let the best players play. That's the way this game was designed, in my opinion. But for the proprietors out there, they got to make money, and high scoring makes money, and it brings people coming back. So there's arguments for both sides. But from a competitive standpoint, watching that Wednesday league essentially die because everybody could throw 7-8 baggers at any time, to me, it got ridiculous.
Yeah.
Martin, how about your thoughts on those?
I completely agree with Adam. I think we guys were talking about the 230 to the 250. You've maybe made that gap closer, but that 250 to 60 is where you've got to grind to win an event. And that's, I think 17 inches takes that away, like Adam said. And watching Mike so many years, pride on pinning, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know how many Mark 10s you won, but it was something we thrived on. 4, thanks. I remember I had won that the one time, but I prided myself on trying to win those, because it says a lot to make that corner pin spare when you need to, or pinning out that head pin for 15. It makes a big difference, and it doesn't reflect on the score anymore. Like Adam said, anybody could throw 6 or 7 in a row and see you later.
Yeah. I guess, Mike, the biggest, talking about deflection, the biggest one is for ladies out here would be Diane Violini. Diane can't carry a corner if her life depended on it at Bonnie Doon. Like, she probably hang maybe 7 or 8 corners a game out of there. And, she's playing Mark 10 the whole time, right? Just picking corners, right? And so, I mean, for a lady or for somebody who throws a slower ball, like, that combination is just not scoreable, right? So, yeah.
My personal
so you've
thought.
had another. So you've added even another adverse effect of it.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We'll recap this here with my or final with mine, and then we'll talk one more about lane closures, and then we're almost done here. I like the fact that there's innovation and there's willingness to create a difference with the game. So that the game doesn't go stale and doesn't die with low scores, people not enjoying and coming playing. Whether the 17 is the right thing, I'm okay with it. Again, I like the fact that there's innovation. I would like to see more ideas on the table down the road for what other little things we can make to tweak the game. Whether it's, obviously synthetics make a difference. Whether it's shortening the lane altogether. Then you have a less way to go. I don't know what the answer is, but I like that there's innovation and creativity to enhancing the game. If this is something that has made proprietors more money because people are bowling, then I'm all for it. As me, somebody who's never played at the really highest, I'm with David Sisko. As somebody that bowls at a tougher house, it's refreshing to go play at Bonnie Doon for a tournament, because then I do feel like I've got a chance. Going to the 5-pin Universe 8 gamer, I qualified 24th by playing out of Bonnie Doon, and I have no problem with that. So it does give us that chance. It's not just about the highest always working the grinding. I mean, it's a different argument. So I'm okay with innovation and creativity to make a difference. So, but good debate. Last thing to touch on before we sort of wrap up is, Mike, you want to talk about lane closures and what is the future of 5-pin bowling? Give us your thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in Hamilton here and the surrounding area, we've lost a ton of bowling centers. I mean, we used to, there was probably, 20 bowling centers, and now we're down to 2 or 3. There's actually only one bowling center left in the proper city of Hamilton itself. which is rather discouraging. And you know, like you say, would the move to 17-inch and black bases 5 years ago or 10 years ago have helped that? In my opinion, probably not. Jim, you made a good point about the innovation and things like that. Proprietors or bowling centers need to put some innovation into how their bowling centers look and what they give back, right? Because again, I mean, you walk into the one bowling center in Hamilton, and it's like walking into, 1984, kind of thing. Yeah. It's just, and again, I haven't been in bowling centers. I haven't been at Neb's in probably a decade. I haven't got a clue what it looks like today.
We did a walkthrough. If you want to go back in the podcast, Jeff England took us all the way through. If you want to see,
oh really?
Yeah,
I do. Okay, yeah. I will do that because it would be interesting to see.
Yeah, search the Jeff England one. Yeah,
yeah. Put me on mute.
But should there be some more innovation within the technology of today in how it's presented, how the game, how the game is presented, whether it's, sorry.
We have company.
Our little cat decided to jump on the table. You know what I mean? Like, so now we have this automatic scoring, right? And again, haven't been in a bowling center in a long time, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to see your shot again? Why isn't it? Like, if that doesn't exist, why doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right?
It's a replay.
Yeah, like a replay, right? Part of bowling is the sound. I think that's what attracts 10-pin, the open, like the casual bowler to 10-pin, right? Is the sound and whatnot. Why can't we somehow project the sound better in 5-pins so that, you hear more of those pins falling and hear more of the pins, you know what I mean? And things like that. Why aren't we, and the setup of the, the seating area, right? And how it looks. And so why aren't we doing things like that tries to bring in and maintain the family bowler again?
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think Mike just got Jeff England and Tom England to stay up all night with those ideas.
Oh yeah.
I like
they've done those already.
Microphones in the pit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
totally.
But you're right. Not all the bowling centers. There's a handful of bowling centers. You're walking into 1984. They haven't innovated their look, their appearance, the paint on the walls, the cartoon, caricatures, all these things. Like it's dull and a little bit boring, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's, like Allison said, Sherwood didn't close because of the number of strikes being thrown. So are we trying to innovate to change the game, or should we be innovating, like you said, Mike, to improve the atmosphere and improve the ambiance? You look at a place, Plaza Bowl here in Edmonton. They are super retro, but they cater to the college crowd. They've got a DJ in there spinning tunes on a Friday, Saturday night, and the place is absolutely packed, right? So it's creating the atmosphere for people to come and want to be there. It's not really about the bowling, and unfortunately, the pinfall and the lane conditions, tournament bowlers were not going there to play, but all the college kids go there, and they're enjoying it, right? So
totally. Yeah. Len's got some great ideas here.
Yes.
You know what? All right. All right.
You're right. You're right, Len. You're right. Anyways, any final comments from you, Mike and Cheryl, that you wanted to touch on or that we didn't chat about here before we let you go?
Just like to shout out to the John Willocks and Ian Wilsons and guys that we probably haven't seen. Martin, we haven't seen as much as we probably would like to see in the days of COVID, and just thinking about all you guys and know that you're still thought of.
Awesome. And Martin, any last comments to Mike and Cheryl? We'll let you go to here soon.
Yeah, I'm really glad you guys got Mike and Cheryl on. For somebody that's grown up in YBC. Mike, I mentioned when I was on early in December that you were, other than my dad, you were like a mentor to me, and to many players of my age. Maybe for you, you guys looked up to Lloyd and as a mentor, but us in the mid-40s range, not to make you feel too old, but we all looked up to you. And we wanted to be you. And for Cheryl, same thing. She's done so much work on the lanes and off the lanes that a lot of people don't see. More than Mike, I'll give her that. Our association. So to have them both on your show, representing the city of Hamilton and Ontario, I think is great. And personally, thank you to both of you for everything you guys have done.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's very nice. Appreciate it.
Okay, so you two Dexter, we'll let Mike and Cheryl, thanks so much to coming on the show. Obviously, great having you. Lots of great discussion, amazing careers. And both of you, a lot of prize money won. So like Martin says, certainly appreciate having you guys on. We'll let both of you guys go. We'll wrap up just to 5-pin you guys and call her on this show. But again, appreciate it. Stay safe down there. Stay healthy. Enjoy the warm weather.
Yes, thank you.
Martin,
thank you guys.
Quickly, Martin, everything okay there in Montreal? I know that the Habs got coached a little bit over there. So.
I was going through with my son. He had a picture with Claude Julien, and we were ready to send it to him. I told him this afternoon when I picked him up from school, I said, you don't have to worry about sending that one out. He won't be there.
That's funny. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on, everybody. It's really nice having you two on and getting to know you a little. And that was fantastic. Really appreciate your time and what you guys have done for the game. Anything we could do to push this game forward. We're very grateful for everything that you guys have done in your time period. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate the invite.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Okay, guys, the back room. Hang out if you want to chat a little bit more after. But we'll wrap things up now. Thanks, Martin. Thanks for jumping on, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Chat soon. Well, that was great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Excellent.
Great couple. I've done so much for the sport and even behind the scenes and the volunteering and all that stuff. We didn't really get into, I think, that all the work that Cheryl does in behind the scenes, but obviously super appreciated in their community for the work that they do. Lots of great comments today too from people out there. We saw, Connie Ward, Kelly Martin out there, Brenda Pankoff out there. Lots of great Ontario bowlers that are probably a lot of them even on that list of the top, right? So inspiring to see people and, good that we have the reach. I love the conversation that we had there about the 17s and 18s and the innovation of what bowling centers was need. And we need more of that.
Totally. Yeah. I feel like we could have talked for 3 hours.
Yeah,
for sure. It's super good. But that was awesome.
We might have to get him back on sooner or later again. That's for sure.
Yeah, true enough.
Tim, let's line up our next couple of weeks, and then we'll let everybody go and go.
Well, first of all, thanks, Adam, for coming on. I appreciate you filling in for Carrie.
Pleasure as always, guys.
I didn't throw any digs at you because you're online, so I can't do that.
I still got one for you. Don't worry.
So next week we have Sandy Anderson. So excited about that. The following week, we have Mike Warren. So Mike Warren's going to come on, and 7-time silver medalist. Yeah. And the following week we actually have for St. Patrick's Day. Daryl's going to love this. Kathy Davidson. So she said Buffalo's all around. Yeah. So she's super excited about doing that. So
we're going to be drinking that day, are we?
Yeah. Apparently. So we're all those lined up. So we're excited to have it.
Awesome.
I got to give a big shout out to Annoyed 5-Pin Bowling guy. I haven't seen his name forever. He doesn't post anything anymore, but he's still my absolute favorite. And so, maybe throw a few memes of Tim out there. That would be excellent. Thank you.
Who is Annoyed 5-Pin guy, or is he like Club Pro guy?
We all know, but we don't know.
We'll never know.
Is it like the golf? Did anybody follow Club Pro Guy on Twitter?
He's basically Batman.
Yeah, golf. He's hilarious. Like he's just so. Oh, he's just out there. He just announced that he's opening up a new golf course, the Three Jack National. The video that he put out. But yeah, follow Club Pro Guy on Twitter if you want a good follow. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, Adam, thanks again for jumping on. Thanks, guys. That was great. I'll run our commercials and then we'll call her a night.
Hey, good
Thanks
job
for tuning in,
Dex.
everybody.
Good job,
Thanks.
Dex.
I didn't butcher it, so
Yes.
I kind of should have. I kind of
That's
should
not
have. So
over
Carrie
yet.
never asks me to do it again.
Very lean back, but yeah.
Cheers,
Awesome.
guys.
Thanks,
Great
everybody.
seeing you.